Welcome, everybody, to the Diamond Discussions podcast, episode number 3. Same people, same hosts, Ethan Carter and John Carter. What are you doing? Anywho, episode number 3 of the Diamond Discussions.
How's it going, guys?
Baseball podcast. You might be a little close to your mic there, sir. But actually,
how's it going, guys?
Watched a rerun of the Japan MLB All-Star Series. I know you are up all night every night. Did you catch any of the games?
No, I saw some social media about it, but I haven't actually watched.
I'm surprised you didn't watch because I guarantee you were up for every single one of those games. Now, if I were up at that time, I probably would have watched a little bit. I'm just a little surprised.
It's pretty cool. You see all the different MLB players in their own uniforms.
Some good ones, too. Some good ones came. Yadier Molina.
But you see them in their own uniforms, and some of the Japan people have those uniforms over there, and it's good exposure.
But
yeah, some good players.
Ahmed Rosario, Rhys Hoskins was there, Ronald Acuna,
Kike Hernandez, Whit Merrifield, Junior Guerra.
Okay, he's not a good player.
I'm just saying who's there.
I was saying good players.
Okay.
A lot of topics.
Yeah, but Japan leads the series. That's kind of crazy. I mean, they got some good ball players over there.
Okay, this is a rerun. I'm pretty sure it's over by now. So, this is
Let's take a look-see.
Look it up and let the people know. You think the American players are even trying? They're too good.
They've pretty much all played full seasons. So, they could be burnt out. Who knows?
Yeah, they wouldn't go over there if they didn't want to play. You mean worn out? Did you find anything?
Yeah.
What'd you find for us?
Let's see.
Do that into the mic. People are going to love that.
I'm on Wikipedia. I can't tell if it's over or not.
We're just going to
It said that there's a game on the...
Maybe it's not over yet. Maybe it's not over yet. Okay. Anyway.
Best of 6 series, so if they've won...
Best of 6? That's not even possible.
At the best of 6 series between an all-star team from Major League Baseball and Japan.
So were they allowing ties so they both win 3? All right, we need to get into the actual program. The awards were announced.
Yeah, Japan won.
Okay, good for them. Good on them. They suck. Anyway, the awards were announced for Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and Cy Young over the last 3 days. When we're recording this, I'm not sure if the MVP will be announced Thursday night or Friday night. I know Thursday night. I'm going to be watching Thursday Night Football. This will go up on Thursday afternoon. But if you're listening to this at night, I'm probably on the couch with a cold Mountain Dew watching Aaron Rodgers get his butt kicked by the Seahawks. I don't know. Anyway, back to the regular program. We're going to review some of the ballots, talk about the winners. We'll start out with Manager of the Year. I just want to say for the record, I'm 6 for 6 on these predictions. I don't know what did you pick all the same that I did?
You know that I didn't.
Well, for the first 2 that have been revealed. I guess Cy Young you didn't get right.
I picked Bud Black instead of Snicker, and then Scherzer instead of DeGrom.
All right, well, Manager of the Year, 17 first place votes for Brian Snicker. That was my pick. Council with 11 first place, 13 second place, and Bud Black got 1 vote for first place. Can we just address something? Bruce Levin of WSCR Radio and 670thescore.com from Chicago had Joe Madden as his Manager of the Year winner.
Not showing any bias there.
That's a Chicago writer. Just wanted to address that. I don't understand how that's even remotely possible. We look at some other, the guy who voted black first was John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle. So that's a San Francisco guy. Was the only one. So the Colorado guys, because they have 2 from each city, Jonah Carey from CBS Sports and Jack Etkin from the Sports Exchange. One of them picked Snicker, the other one picked Council. So it depends on the city, but there's a lot of bias in a lot of these sports. So, yeah, your thoughts on Snicker getting it instead of Black?
Oh, you don't even mention Council.
And Council. Well, I meant Black was your pick.
Oh.
So I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
Well, I mean, I feel like Snicker, he's been the manager for was his third season or second season?
One of the second or third.
I mean, he was a coach on the team, right? And he was interim manager, got hired. But I think he's done a really good job, and obviously he's got some talent to work with, but a lot of young guys. And the NL East in the past has been a tough division, but they had a really good year. I was going to say that people were talking about Council being the manager here because, 96 wins, that ties the Brewers' franchise record, but I would say that the Brewers have more talent. Like, Council was given more talent than Snicker. They didn't win as many games, but
I don't think Council's that great of a manager either, just for the record. They did really well, but their run didn't have much to do with Council. It had more to do with Christian Yelich being on a roll,
Josh Hader,
and their bullpen. But the thing is, Council, even with the bullpen that he had, he didn't push a lot of the right buttons. It ended up working out, though. So there's a lot of questionable managerial decisions on his part that may have worked or may not have worked in the second half from Milwaukee. The reason that I picked Snickers is because I know what the mindset is of most of these voters, and that is who did the most with the least amount of stuff, So Snicker, or I think there's two criteria for this. I think it's what manager had the best. Really, you're snoozing off. Okay, you're sidetracking me, making me all confused.
Let's keep talking.
Sorry. The manager who did the most with the least amount. God, and who outperformed their expectations the most. So, did people really expect the Braves to do as well as they did? No.
No, the people.
That's why you
picked the Mets or the Nationals to win the division, and those two weren't even. Well, I guess the Nationals were third, right?
So that's how we're going to shift over to the American League. And my prediction: Bob Melvin, his third Manager of the Year award.
I have Alex Cora crossed out, but
I feel like here's the thing.
That was kind of jumping on the bandwagon of the Red Sox.
Here's the thing.
Lowest payroll.
If there is a year where the A's are good and they make the playoffs, their manager almost automatically is going to win. Unless the A's have a really, really good-looking team going into the year and they're being picked to win the division or make the wild card. The A's were not predicted to do well at all this year.
Well, it's kind of the West Coast effect, though. So a lot of MLB fans don't know some of the guys, and sort of had, a player has a breakout season, so to speak. I guess you could say with like Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, but a lot of people, that had no idea who a lot of the A's players coming into the year were, and now most do. But the West Coast effect, I guess.
My point was that Bob Melvin has 3 Manager of the Year awards. So what that means is the A's had 3 good years, and he won it every time. They made the wild card a few years back with Sonny Gray on the team. That permits a Manager of the Year award. He had 18 first-place votes. Alex Cora with 7, and Kevin Cash with 5. Here's my problem here. I don't like the fact that they all were jumping on the Red Sox having the most wins bandwagon. You see how good that team is? They were predicted to win the division by a lot of people going into this year. I think Kevin Cash probably should have finished second, but that's, it's not too surprising with some of these voters and what they did. Let's see what some of the voters in the cities of the finalists, what they thought.
If I could interject here.
Go ahead.
I feel like it's that the writers should only be able to vote for the finalists and not vote for a random manager who, like Joe Madden.
I disagree.
That takes away votes from more deserving candidates. Does it not? If you could vote for any manager, and it's like a wasted vote because you're not voting for the finalist who the committee thinks deserves it.
Okay, but they want to still see how many votes other guys.
Yeah, but it's a waste. It's a wash.
I think Aaron Boone was worthy of getting some votes. His first year as the manager of the Yankees, they had a great year.
They didn't have a bad year either last year. But
okay, but he's still a first-year manager. Those guys are going to get votes.
I mean, he got hammered by
I'll
some of the
tell you
Yankee
this.
fans.
I don't think they should allow them to vote for like Hinch or Boone or Madden for first. They could vote them second or third. I don't think they should vote them for first.
Pretty much, you shouldn't be able to vote for the manager that is of the team in the city in which you are a journalist or writer or whatever.
That's irrelevant too. No, what? That's the only situation where that happens. Like, look at this, okay? Oakland, Daniel Brown, San Jose Mercury News picked Melvin. Okay, Eno Sarris, The Athletic in Oakland.
Well, it goes back to the finalists, though. I mean, unless it's a finalist that's in the city of the
They're
writer.
not going to do that because some moron Cubs writer picked Madden. That's just,
okay. Whatever.
They're not going to do that. I'm just stating my opinion. You don't got to get all offended.
Oh, I'm not getting offended.
Seems like you are.
You are getting off track. So
that's another point. 2 writers from the Tampa Bay Times picked Melvin. Most writers aren't going to be biased towards their city.
Okay, moving on.
You're just trying to change the system, and I don't like it. The hell was that?
Are we not doing a podcast right now? Let's go. God. What was that? Rookie of the year. Did that not also happen in the last few days?
Let's go on to the Rookie of the Year. Okay. National League. As expected, Ronald Acuna Jr. takes home the crown over Juan Soto and Walker Buehler. Receiving votes as well. Let's see. So Acuna got 27 first place votes, Soto with 2, and Buehler actually got 1. I want to see who gave him that. Obviously, Soto with 26 second place and 23rd for Buehler. Brian Anderson got 4 third place votes. Jack Flaherty of the Cardinals with 2. Harrison Bader of the Cardinals with 1. Yoshihisa Hirano of the Diamondbacks got 1, and Jeff McNeil of the Mets got 1.
I guess most people probably don't know where Brian Anderson plays.
Brian Anderson of the Marlins. Yeah. Let's see who gave Anderson that third place vote, or who overall.
Did he get 4, you said?
Yeah. It's not loading all my stuff here. All right.
Acuna, I mean, he didn't have like the breakout power like Judge, but I mean, he bright, young, budding superstar, though. I mean, definitely a spark to that. The beginning of the leadoff hitter, spark to the Braves. So I mean, Soto's still a couple seasons. He'll have that spark,
So both Miami writers and both Cincinnati writers gave Anderson third place. Bader, Tim Healy of Newsday from New York gave Bader third place. Flaherty's 2 came from both St. Louis. Ben Fredrickson and Rob Raines. That's understandable.
I mean, it's different in this because they actually, I mean, could be seen as at least a possible third place, whereas there's no way, nobody except that one guy sees Joe Madden being in first place. So a little different.
That's the point I was making earlier. But for some cities, it's not always like Tim Kirkton's not a Nationals writer. He's listed at Washington. That doesn't make him a Nats writer.
Did I say that?
I was just saying, you were saying they
know.
shouldn't be able to. So Kirkton picked Acuna. That was Washington. The other Washington was from the Sports Capital, so I'm assuming that is a Nationals writer.
I mean, you
had Soto.
In a perfect world, there would be completely neutral parties and not writers for specific teams, like Peter Gammons, Tim Kirkton, guys like that, who don't have any bias towards anybody.
That, though. Like Ken Rosenthal voted for Cy Young.
I know, but he wouldn't be like a specific writer, like he covers everything. Like
I like the system the way
John
it is.
Morosi, but okay.
So, for actually pretty surprising for the American League Rookie of the Year, Ohtani pretty much blew Andujar out of the water, and I'm surprised that Gleyber Torres didn't get any first place votes. He didn't get any. It was 25-5 for first place. Ohtani over Andujar. Thoughts? My pick was Ohtani. I thought that the two-way specialist.
I mean, like me personally, I don't follow the Yankees, so I don't really know how well Andujar or Torres did. I mean, of course, everyone who's a baseball fan would have followed most likely or heard about Ohtani. And, I mean, he got injured for a little bit, right? He still hit. But,
he had over 20 home runs.
I mean, he was hyped up, but he still had a pretty solid year for his first, season in the bigs.
A little overhyped.
Nothing like Ichiro, but of course, Ohtani, a two-way player.
Way more hype than Ichiro.
He's probably, I mean, Garrett Richards is never healthy, so he's probably the number one starter on the Angels, right?
Have the Angels ever had a healthy starting pitcher, like generally? No.
Bartolo Colon when he was there for a short time.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest argument against Andujar was that he was not a very good defensive player. Like, here's how I would view them both, okay? Ohtani can pitch and can hit. That's his
And play
MO.
outfield.
They're not going to put him in the outfield, but he could. So I would just mainly base it on the fact that he can hit and pitch. Andujar can only hit. He's a one-dimensional. He's not a very good defensive player. Torres can play defense and hit, but he can't hit up to the caliber of the other two, like in terms of overall power numbers and all that stuff. I agree. I agree with the voting. I think Joey Wendell, is it Wendell or Wendell? I think it's Wendell, of the Rays got 3 second-place votes and 8 third-place. That's interesting.
He had a pretty solid year. I mean, in Tampa Bay, it's not a big market that's going to be, that as much conversation about him as the others.
Juan Toribio of the Athletic Tampa Bay had Wendell in third. The other Tampa Bay guy, Dick Scanlon of the Lakeland Ledger, had Yarbrough third of the White Sox. Of the Rays as well. So 2 Rays getting third-place votes. Not too surprising. The Rays were kind of an under-the-radar young team that outperformed expectations. Let's go to the Cy Young, and then we'll move forward to other topics as we roll through Episode 3. Tonight, they announced the Cy Young, and as expected in the American League, Blake Snell, another Rays player, was actually close. Snell coming in with 17 first-place votes. Verlander got 13. So basically, Snell beat him by a total of 15 votes. And how do they total up the points? Total of 15 points, sorry.
Well, it's probably the first place votes probably weighted higher than the second and third, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
But that's probably closer than most people thought.
Only 15 points. And then
because Snell had a
drop-off.
Pretty stellar year.
Goes from 169, Blake Snell, 154, Justin Verlander, and 71 for Corey Kluber. Chris Sale had 59, then Garrett Cole finishing in 5th. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Cy Young. So there's 5 finalists, or 5 finishers. I'm sure that's how it'll be for MVP, I think. So it was Snell, Verlander, Kluber, Sale, Cole. Then after that, there was 4 other. Wow, really? Edwin Diaz got 4 fifth-place votes. Blake Trinan got a 3rd place, 1 3rd place, 3 4th places, and 4 5th places. Luis Severino got a 5th place. Trevor Bauer got a 1 3 4, just like Trinan. Interesting that they would vote for the relievers. Did the New York guys vote for the other ones?
Of course, for the NL, you're probably going to gloat about how, you were right.
So the guy who had Severino, who gave Severino a vote, was Bill Madden of the New York Daily News. But it says Tampa Bay on here. I don't really know what that means. All right, over to the NL we go. Mets ace Jacob deGrom rolls to landslide victory for Cy Young on the strength of 1.70 ERA. That's the headline. This one wasn't even close, folks, and I was right and you were wrong. Jacob deGrom, 207 points to 123 over Max Scherzer. Aaron Nola comes in with 86. Kyle Freeland with 49. Patrick Corbin with 23 points. Miles Michaelis with 13. Josh Hader with 4. Mike Foltynewicz with 3. John Lester with 2 points. Lester got a 4th place.
God, can you imagine Josh Hader if he would have finished higher? Like he wasn't a starter, wasn't a closer. It was like a high leverage middle setup reliever. But that's crazy to think about. But yeah,
John Lester, an MLB.com Colorado writer, voted John Lester 4th. I don't know how that. Maybe he was thinking that he was voting for first half Cy Young.
I mean, definitely these days, there's not as much emphasis on wins, and that is how it should be, right? Because the Mets suck. And I saw something earlier. I don't know how accurate it is, but if somebody said if the Mets would have scored at least 4 runs in each start, he would have won every game. He would have been every start. But obviously, most of those games when the DeGrom started, they couldn't score. They scored 1.
He had 3 games where he had an RBI.
Yeah.
So I think that Freeland and Michaelis were both worthy of getting some sort of votage for 4th and 5th and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I think with Scherzer though, I mean he gets a lot of strikeouts, pitches deep into games, but he gives up a lot of home runs too, and gets into some tight situations. So if he would have, not given up as many runs,
Scherzer wasn't deserving at all. Let's just be clear on that.
Not put himself in those tight situations. I mean, I still think, obviously, he's deserving of 2nd place. But I would have thought it'd been closer.
Ken Rosenthal's ballot. DeGrom, Scherzer, Nola, Freeland, and Michaelis. One St. Louis writer had 5th place for Michaelis. That was Mark Saxon of The Athletic. We could get him on here. Maybe we'll have him on in episode 4 or 5. We'll have him on, see what his thoughts are. Whatever. Moving forward, real quick, I just wanted to go over our Cy Youngs and who we had 4 and 5 for our voting. I had Sale and Cole in the American League. Those ended up being exactly 4 and 5.
I mean, I had Sale and Severino.
In the NL, I had Freeland 4th. He was 4th. I had Michaelis 5th. He finished a little bit behind Patrick Corbin for 5th place.
I had Michaelis, Freeland.
So we'll see what happens when they announce MVP, because I had Bregman, Lindor, Freeman, Story. We'll see what happens there. Let's move forward, though. Any latest rumors that we're potentially hearing on the free agent front? The winter meeting's coming up in about 3 weeks.
I mean, lately there's just been the talks about Machado and how Michael Kay from the Yes Network talks about how he still thinks that the Yankees are big. They're in big on Machado. And, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the luxury tax and how Hal Steinbrenner's wanting to keep that down.
Well, let's be clear here. Most GMs, general managers, if you're not familiar with the term, they're not going to reveal their plans for the most part. They're going to keep their cards close to their vest, so to speak. So I think Brian Cashman, and publicly we know the Yankees are interested in 2 starting pitchers.
Corbin and Keuchel?
I don't know if it'd be both lefty. I think I wrote down potential options that we'll discuss here in a moment. Keuchel being one.
Possibly Eovaldi.
Paxton, Eovaldi, Kluber. All the above. Anyway.
I mean, I could see the Yankees signing a guy and making a trade for a guy.
I think we'll talk a lot more about the rumor mill within the next 3 weeks with all the stuff that's going to be going down. I have a feeling that episode 6 or 7 of this we'll have a lot of signings to talk about. But
yeah, regarding Harper, they're pretty much just projecting the contract they'd get. There's no real substance on the teams as of late.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people projecting where Harper's going to go are just saying it for the.
I mean, they're pretty much they're going to be thinking about the contract mainly. Excuse me, thinking if that team can afford the contract.
What's up with Bob Nightingale, man? He makes an article.
Someone should take away his phone.
Bryce Harper's going to the Phillies. You can bank on it. You know what his reasoning was for him saying the Harper's going to the Phillies? Because they need a star. Like, he's just automatically going to go there because of that. Or the Phillies have bright lights and the Cardinals don't have bright lights. Or, you know.
I mean, Phillies would make sense, probably more so than the Cardinals. Cause
I think the Phillies priority should be Machado. I think that makes more sense for them.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to get Rhys Hoskins back to first base, or they do. So
they're going to do that because they're shopping Carlos Santana.
Need another outfielder. Got Herrera.
Michael Brantley's a cheaper option in the outfield.
Well, yeah, I guess. Does Nick Williams has played more right field, right?
They could get Brantley and Machado. A lot of people speculating they're going to get Harper and Machado. No, sorry, no team's going to pay a combined $600 million.
Yeah.
It's going to be either Harper.
The only team that would probably do that is the Yankees. But they'd have to get rid of a lot of money.
They'd definitely have to move Stanton at that point. I would assume, right? I mean,
there's one thing on here that says Betances wants the Yankees to sign Machado, but
that's not what he said. He said he would put us over the edge or something, or take us over the.
They're being impactful. It'd be crazy to add a guy because
the
lineup is already impactful.
Is stupid right now. Let's just move forward.
It's clickbait mainly.
Biggest need for each team in the NL East and AL East. We're going to do those two divisions in this episode. The next episode, we'll do the Centrals and the Wests after that. AL East, the Red Sox is where we'll begin. The World Series champs and the best record in baseball a season ago. What do you have? What do you think? Should I go first, or do you want to go first?
I can go first. I think that their offense, they've got it all pretty much. I mean, they should re-sign Steve Pearce, but they're going to need a starter or two. And if they lose that on Kimbrel, they're going to need a back end. They're going to need a closer probably. So, a lot of these teams is going to come down to, pitching unless they have like a big position they need filled or bat.
Well, I put bullpen for the most part. I think they do need some starters. I think the main reason that I put bullpen is because they have multiple guys in their bullpen that are free agents, those being Craig Kimbrel, Joe Kelly. Nathan Eovaldi was a reliever in the postseason, but if they should try to bring him back and prevent him from potentially ending up with the Yankees or the Rays, what have you. So I think pitching would be my overall answer for that, and I think they need to try to re-sign Kimbrel. But I can honestly see Kimbrel being in the National League next year with Atlanta or St. Louis potentially, the Dodgers. I think that Kimbrel probably ends up in the National League potentially. But I think that pitching overall will be my answer.
Probably the highest bidder for Kimbrel since he probably thinks he needs a big contract. But
well, he declined 17.9 or whatever the qualifying offers are. So I feel like if the Red Sox don't give him like 3 years for maybe 60, you know how much closers are going to want. A lot of teams are not going to pay starter money for a closer.
What Chapman get, like 15 per year or something?
Yeah, most teams aren't going to pay that high a premium for a reliever or closer.
I got to pay 20.
No one's going to pay starter money for closers. Starters are giving you 200 innings for the most part. Anyway, moving right along to the Baltimore Orioles.
Closers are a premium, though. But
Baltimore Orioles.
My
answer was everything.
They're just going to have to, ship out some contracts, get some prospects.
They need everything.
They're going to have to retool, rebuild.
Anything they can get, they'll take. There's no specific answer for this. Toronto.
Complete overhaul for the Orioles. Toronto, not as bad as Baltimore, but they got some young guys.
As bad as Baltimore.
Well, they got some young Miami, maybe. Well, okay. Toronto's got some young guys in the farm system, like Vlad Jr.
Bo Bichette.
Yeah. One of the Biggios.
Cavan.
He's not as hyped as the other ones, but they've.
I think veteran presence around Vlad, because I'm pretty sure Vlad Jr. is going to be on the roster to start the year next year. I don't think their fan base would allow that not to happen.
They definitely need pitching, though, above all.
I said vets/starting pitching. I would worry about their starters for their relievers. You got Marcus Stroman, Aaron Sanchez. They can stay healthy. After that, who do you have?
it's probably the
Marco Estrada.
toughest division right now, the Yankees and the Red Sox. So it's almost as
Tampa is not a bad team either.
well, it's almost as if Toronto and Baltimore are going to have to rebuild slightly for Toronto, more so for Baltimore. And then Tampa is just going to have to, I guess, add on, not necessarily retool as much.
Tampa Bay, thoughts?
I mean, they probably same thing that you can say about almost any team, starter and bullpen.
Anyway, I said starting pitching around Snell.
Build around him.
Add some starters around him. Their offense, now they have Mike Zunino behind the plate. You're going to have, your outfield's going to have Austin Meadows, Tommy Pham,
Kiermaier.
Kevin Kiermaier, etc. Etc. Oh, man. New York Yankees.
Who's even in the infield for the Rays?
I don't know.
Moving on. I mean, the Yankees.
Joey Wendell.
Yankees pretty much. They need a starter or two.
I said 2 starting pitchers because that's what has come out as their priorities, and they have 5 options. In my eyes, would be you pick 2 of these would be their best options. You sign Keuchel or Corbin or Eovaldi, 3 free agents. Your 2 trade options are James Paxton from Seattle and Corey Kluber from Cleveland. You pick 2 of those guys. I think ideally they sign Corbin and trade for Kluber. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
But I do feel like the asking price on Kluber and Paxton are going to be sky high, and I don't know if the Yankees are going to do that. I think potentially Miguel Andujar is a movable piece.
Right.
Let's say this. Okay, how about this, Yankee fans? What would your thoughts be on this? You trade for Corey Kluber. You move like Andujar, a couple other pieces, and then you bring
Frazier.
I don't know about that. They got some aging outfielders besides Judge and Stanton. Anyway, you sign Patrick Corbin and you trade for Corey Kluber. You move Andujar to Cleveland. You sign Manny Machado. Thoughts? Because then your infield becomes, I mean, if...
Don't care about the Yankees, so...
Nice. Real nice, John. real good luck for you.
Who likes the Yankees besides the Yankee fans?
What does that matter? This is a baseball podcast.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We talk about every team. Gary Sanchez behind the plate. You go Luke Voit at first base. Greg Bird. I know Yankee fans hate him. Whatever. Second base. If Machado's willing to play third, you put him at third, or Didi at third, I guess. Whatever works for you. And then Gleiber somewhere in that rotation. On to the NL East. New York Mets. They have a new GM, second-year manager Mickey Callaway. What do the Mets need?
Consistency, probably. Probably maybe another starter or 2 to help DeGrom and
Need some bats for sure.
players that can stay healthy. Bullpen, of course. They need to get their,
Remember when they had that like $500 million?
They need to get their shit together.
That $500 million rotation or whatever. With Harvey, Syndergaard, Wheeler, Matz, DeGrom. Yeah, I think they need bats for the main part. Philadelphia.
Probably.
They need a star. That's all I would say.
Probably closer.
Closer and a star.
Yeah.
Like Machado and Kimbrel. Boom. There's Phillies offseason. Washington Nationals. Starting pitching around Max and Strasburg. Boom. Probably
Pretty
could
much.
use a couple relievers, like cheap relievers like Tony Sipp.
Like they've got all the pieces, but like the performance wasn't there last season, I mean, there's still a possibility they can re-sign Harper too.
Atlanta. Third baseman, Kimbrel, and some potential cheap starting pitching.
I'd go with that.
Because third base, you add Donaldson or Moustakas into that lineup, that's pretty solid. Starting pitcher, you could get a cheap one. I mean, you got Fultonavich and those guys. Same for the Marlins as the Orioles, they need everything. That's all I have to say. Moving forward, 2 more topics to cover.
It seems like the Marlins have some better young guys that they can build around than the Orioles do. So, yeah.
All right. We're going to go over the best rotation, the best lineup, and best bullpen of 2018. Are we going to disagree? Ready? Here we go. Best rotation. Go.
I would go with the Astros.
Me too. Astros. Best lineup.
Two-headed monster there.
Best lineup. 3, 2, 1.
Red Sox. I mean, how can you? Who else? Who else could you say? Right?
No one. Best bullpen. 3, 2, 1.
Brewers.
Milwaukee. Do we just become best friends?
No.
Okay.
But things can change next year.
Things change. People change. Yeah, that's not very debatable.
Yeah.
Got sidetracked by the TV. Our last topic before we get out of here, before episode 4, next week.
And hopefully there'll be some more rumblings and action before
Certainly.
next week.
Maybe we'll do an all-righty lineup next week.
Yeah, because
We're doing all lefties
Ethan
today.
is going with an all-lefty lineup.
5 starting pitchers. You know what? 6, because I don't want to leave James Paxton off of here. 6 starting pitchers, and then left-handed hitting.
I mean, it's
position
possible to do a
players.
6-man rotation.
Left-handed. The TV sidetracking me. Okay, left-handed hitting players. Ready? You're gonna tell me if you disagree. You don't have to make your own. You tell me if you disagree or you know anybody that you could put in there yourself.
Go.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Starting pitchers. Number 1, Blake Snell.
Yes.
Number 2, Chris Sale.
Yes.
Number 3, Clayton Kershaw.
Yes.
Number 4, Patrick Corbin. This isn't in order.
Yes.
Number 5, Kyle Freeland.
Yes.
Number 6, James Paxton.
No, and I'll tell you why. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Catcher, there's like none, so Brian McCann.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's any other left-handed hitting starting catchers.
the other ones that would bat lefty would be switch hitters.
First base. This is tough because you have Carpenter, you have Rizzo, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Second base, couldn't really think of one. You were rushing me to start the show, so Daniel Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know who
Shortstop,
else.
D.D. Gregorius.
Yeah.
Third base, Mike Moustakas. This could be debatable with the other name that I was thinking of.
Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
I think Moustakas had a solid year.
Outfield.
Devers is still young.
Oh, wow. Outfield probably shouldn't be debated. Yelich in left, Chuck Nasty in center, and Bryce Harper in right. Yes.
Yes.
That is going to do it for episode number 3 of the Diamond Discussions MLB podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure to follow us and subscribe to all the platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple. What are the other ones? YouTube. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will catch you next week in episode 4.